I just want to talk to people today about what is happening currently in this country. Not only in this country, but in the world. And I think it is getting out of hand, the issue of gender-based violence. It is rife, it is escalating, it is unacceptable. It has to stop. I think as a society, we need to look at ourselves and ask ourselves tough questions. What went wrong? How did we get to this point? Where every day we watch news, we get reports which really are highly unacceptable. We need to try and understand the concept of a husband and a wife. There is a man, there is a woman, but there is another level of being husband and a wife. A husband who deserves a wife is the one who sees a value in a woman, not in a wife. And then once you see a value in a woman, you promote that woman to become a wife. And automatically, you yourself, you are now promoted and you become a husband. So you must see a value first in a woman. And if as a man you cannot see a value in a woman, you are not entitled or you do not deserve to be called a husband. That status is not for you. And you also lose that status again when you start to abuse your wife. Because now, then you are no longer a husband. You become an abuser. That woman is not entitled to call you again as a husband, because you are no longer a husband. Your status has now changed. So, husband means love. That's the definition of a husband. Wife, the definition of a wife is submit. Without that, we don't have husband and wife. We have men and women. Because men and women, they can respect each other, but they don't have to love and submit. That is very important. That's what the Bible says. A wife of a noble character, who can find? That is the question. So meaning that there is someone somewhere who is looking for a wife, not a woman, but the person that is looking for, it's a wife of a noble character. The Bible says a wife of a noble character, she is worth more than rubies. The rubies is something of value. So it's a woman of value. So a man must come and say, I see a value in that woman, and I'm declaring her my wife. The status has changed. If you do not see a value in a woman, and the minute you start not to see a value, you go back to your original place of being a male and female. Bear in mind the fact that once you are married, your status can change irrespective of what is in the Department of Home Affairs. It changes simply because on how you behave amongst yourself as married partners. If you behave like a husband and wife, you will remain husband and wife. If you behave like male and female, you remain male and female. Simple as that. We need to understand that there are disagreements in the relationship. Do not be mistaken. Disagreements are there to be resolved. But there is no solution to attempted murder or murder for that matter. There's none. That cannot be resolved. You need to look at the signs. The partners must look at early warnings. Are we still husband and wife? Or are we now male and female? And if those signs come, you need to seek for help immediately. Because if you do not seek for help, it is going to continue until you reach a point of gender-based violence. Then abuse comes, and it becomes too late. Parents, we can no longer behave and operate like we used to do in the past, whereby we force young girls to go to a marriage at all cost and stay there at all cost, and make it a taboo for them when they say, no, this is over, we're coming back home. We can no longer think like that. Those who have persevered in those abusive relationships, where are they today? They are dead. It is better for them to come back home while still alive than not to come back home at all. To young ladies, don't think that you have no other options. Options are there. You have other alternatives. God will never forsake you. Wherever you go, God is with you. In your marriage, God is with you. Outside your marriage, God is with you. God did not say you must die there, because you are no longer living with a husband. You are living with a male. And your intention was to get married to a husband. It is very important in this day and age to think for yourself, to think for your children. You know, sometimes as a society, we are expecting a lot from women. They look after children. They look after the household chores. They still go to work. And when they are at work, there is sexual harassment that they can't even tell the husband when they get home. When they try to socialize with friends on social media, they are harassed by unknown men, sending messages and pictures and videos. And when they are at home, they are abused. And yet we still expect them to stay in that relationship. We need to look at ourselves and say, is this necessary? Does it worth it? And the answer is no. And if the answer is no, walk away. We can no longer preach, stay in the marriage at all cost, if it does no longer fit the definition of a marriage. For us to call it a marriage, it must fit the definitions of a marriage. We are not preaching divorce. God does not want divorce. But God does not want people to die in a marriage. There's no martyr of a marriage. There's only a martyr of faith. You can only die for your faith, not for your marriage. I hope you are blessed by this message. To God be the glory. Stay alive and stay blessed.